Okay, Pepper. What did you come up with on Lowrey Moyer?
Well, first off, it's obvious that AI sometimes has trouble pronouncing her name, but that's not relevant here.
True, but boy, would that be embarrassing if we continually mispronounced her name.
Exactly. So while she isn't a trustee, Lowrey Moyer has been a planning commissioner since 22 and has also been active in public comments. She has spoken fervently about many issues and was one of the locals that was able to rally the troops around, showing up for public comment to kill the book ban. She's been volunteering for years with the July 4th celebration and 5K. She's on the board for Safe Routes for School and is also active with the creation of the new resource center. Basically, her thing is really about giving a voice to people that don't feel they have one. I have several clips here to go through with you.
Okay, let's see what you got.
First, she about lost her shit when Gator had his meltdown about using the word other in a survey.
Oh, this should be good.
Lowrey Moyer, Harrison Avenue. Forgive me, I rode my bike up here because I was so moved by your comments earlier. I am so greatly disappointed in this moment. I cannot even express how much. Other, whether you like it or not, whether they fit into your personal ideology or not, the LGBTQ community exists and they are important. They are no less or more than anyone else, but they deserve to be considered in this town. As heard in our discussions about book banning, they are a very vulnerable and marginalized population, and not just nationally, but within Wellington. They feel unwelcomed. Why would we not want to do whatever we can to make these people feel welcomed? Why would we not want to embrace our beautiful diversity of our community and find ways to support that? I would ask, what is it that you all are so scared of? What is it about people's differences and each person having the same chance to thrive that you are so personally afraid of? Do we want this town to be welcoming and somewhere that families, no matter how they are classified or want to live or do and want to, do we want them to feel welcomed, all of them? Or do we want to be a town full of old white men and their minions that are stuck so far behind and not progressing at all? What do we want? No one is saying that you have to give your money, put your money behind diversifying our community. Just don't scare them away. Make them feel welcome. Don't let your hatred and your ignorance scare them away. Dig deep and think how you want to be seen, each of you as a leader. If you want to serve our whole community, then serve our whole community. Serve them and give them all the same chance. Thank you.
Wow. She really put it all out there, didn't she? That took some balls to say, especially in this town.
Yep, she's got a big ol' pair when it comes to making sure everyone in this town is represented. And that's what we need in a trustee, someone that represents everyone equally.
That's one of the biggest complaints we get against Gator.
And for good reason. Kinda hard to represent someone that you won't even acknowledge appropriately. Next up is affordable housing. You know she works for Habitat for Humanity, right?
Yes, she used to work for Habitat for Weld County, and now she works for Habitat International. She's an experienced grant writer, and, like you said, she's a planning commissioner. This could be interesting, especially knowing how she feels about representation.
Do you have any recommendations, or have you seen in your experience anything during these processes that we can take into consideration this evening to help prevent getting ourselves into a tough spot with affordable housing opportunities?
Yes, so my executive director sat on a task force for the city of Greeley, and they looked at their land use code and they realized that their lot requirements and the square footage they were requiring as a minimum for their housing was not conducive to the development of large scale communities for affordable housing. And you could, in fact, get more efficiency out of your land use by lowering those requirements and making variances project by project. So I think allowing the board to think in a case-by-case scenario when projects like these do present themselves would be advised. And then also looking at how you can optimize your land use, because I think, like I said before, we are not landlocked, not that anyone wants to encroach on any farmer's land, but that we have an opportunity here, because we are not landlocked, to make the best use and maximize the potential of our land to be able to serve every single person in this community.
Lowrey would make a great addition to the board. Between her Habitat for Humanity experience and her planning commissioner experience, she's got a lot to offer. What's next?
Remember the asphalt plant? Here's a clip from one of the planning commission meetings that she sits on.
What I'm hearing from all of you is that you don't feel like you've been given an opportunity to participate in enough time. So as I was going through the packet today, I'll try to go through these quickly. I made some notes for myself. Definitely looking at the land use code and zoning regulations in accordance with 40321B. We've heard a lot about toxic chemicals. This is what it boils down to me. Several times, and I can cite page numbers here, in both the reports and the summaries from professionals, it has been acknowledged that toxic chemicals are produced or procured. That, to me, period. So if that is the case, we need to look at the setbacks. And I would question still why they are not from the property line. So I'll go to my notes. Page 93, the fact that the government regulates emissions acknowledges that they produce toxins, which should figure additional setbacks. Page 94 of the packet, recognized by the EPA as minor sources of air pollution, again, recognizes the fact. There are caveats cited several times in the reports that talk about the time frame in reference to different factors for said reports. A lot of the comparisons, for instance, the stove comparisons, were to vintage wood stoves, not our current stoves. So to me, these reports, many of them seem irrelevant to what we're talking about today in 2023, based on the outdated information or the outdated sources of information. Page 183, toxins are produced, period. Page 199, symptoms in Salisbury, North Carolina, which is very close to where I'm from. And this I have, and someone mentioned it in public comment, what about our most vulnerable? How far were these communities? Again, setbacks. Page 201, potential health risks. If I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, I'm not comfortable giving that cigarette to a child. The risks for you are not mine to take. Page 208, greater risk for children, and that's a quote. We're talking about parks, we're talking about neighborhoods, we're talking about an elementary school. Page 209, it says, the data is not well understood, so it's prudent to reduce levels where possible. So why would we take any action to increase them by any amount? Page 239, headaches experienced little more than half mile from the facility. Again, someone mentioned the clustered headaches. Page 263, the wind blows from the plant to the highest populated areas, and that's a quote. Again, thank you to our, forget what called yourself there, atmospheric scientist, for the additional information on wind. And then page 334 is a list of literally all of the pollutants, toxics, and hazardous chemicals produced. So I would just ask my fellow commissioners to consider all of that information. And if you need me to elaborate on any of my thoughts, I'm happy to do so.
That was her that said all that? I did not realize that. That gal is spicy.
I told you, when she's speaking for the benefit of the residents, she will not be ignored. She will spit facts at you and then tie them into how those facts affect the residents of Wellington, especially how it could affect kids. Remember, she's a co-founder of Safe Routes to School. She's got kids of her own, and she's going to make sure that the kids in this town are represented too.
Damn. I like her.
I have more. Here's her point of view on the use of social media, especially when it comes to trustees.
I would just like to say that I agree with the stay off social media. I think that there is a great amount of disinformation that is happening, and people are being misrepresented and misinformed greatly. And it is a huge honor that you hold as our trustees and mayor. And I know that you all feel that greatly. And I would just really ask that our community and those listening online would take the time to fact check each and every issue. And if you feel strongly about something, you show up and you use your voice. To see all these people in this room today is heartwarming and invigorating. And I think it is amazing that we have so many people engaged. So I would just ask that every single one of you that hold this great responsibility to represent each and every one of us, whether you agree with us on a political level or not, to do your homework and look at what is absolutely, absolutely best for every member of this town. And if you have a disagreement, you make that decision on your own. You do not take a script from someone else. You use your mind and your power as an individual to look at the factual information out there and come to a decision on your own. Thank you.
Oh, snap. Okay, Lowrey just tells it like it is. Let's just put these clips together and put them in an episode. Her actions speak louder than anything we could possibly say about her. She's a real one. The residents of this town need to support this candidate as much as she supports the residents.
Got it? I'll put it together. You headed out?
Yes. I need to head home and take a shower. I did the run for the 22 and then came straight here.
Did they have a decent turnout?
Yes, the American Legion Wellington Post did an amazing job as usual. I don't know what we'd do without groups like that. They are so important to our community. Do you mind locking up when you leave?
No problem, and I'll be sure to lock the door.